be here via chat.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is J.J. Aiken, and I work here in the admission office at Gustavus Adolphus College. We'd like to thank you for joining us for the first phone cast of the 2014-2015 school year. The phone cast is something we started doing a couple years ago, and it's a great opportunity for us to connect with people from all over the country who we hope are interested in Gustavus. Joining me tonight is going to be our Vice President for Enrollment Management, Dr. Tom Crady. I'm going to be also joined by the Dean of Admission, Richard Aouni, and our Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management and in charge of financial aid is Kirk Carlson. And so over the next hour or so, we hope to answer any questions that you might have about the application process here at Gustavus, applying under our early action admission plan, visiting campus, or anything else you'd like to know about Gustavus Adolphus College. As we see our first questions start to roll in, I'm going to introduce Dr. Crady for a quick introduction. Tom?
Thank you, JJ. We're excited that you're able to join us tonight for the conversation. For many of you, this may be your first interaction with Gustavus Adolphus College. Whether you're already familiar with the college or just starting to learn about us, let's just start off with a general introduction. Gustavus is a private liberal arts college of 2,500 students in St. Peter, Minnesota, about 55 miles southwest of the Twin Cities. We're located on a beautiful 340-acre campus overlooking the beautiful Minnesota River Valley. Gustavus is well known for its STEM areas, strong sciences, fine arts, study abroad, servant leadership program. Last year, the Gustavus faculty was ranked 16th in the country by RateMyProfessors.com. I came to Gustavus 5 years ago after serving dean of the college at Dartmouth, and before that I was a vice president at Grinnell College. I'm here to tell you that it's a wonderful experience for students. Teaching is heavily emphasized, and we want you to learn more about us, so we hope that you'll ask some questions. You do that live, and we'll actually put you on the call live so you can ask a question for everybody, and we'll see who's from around the country joining us this evening. So with all of that, we're going to go ahead and get started.
All right, Dr. Crady, thanks for that. If you do have a question at any point throughout tonight's call, just press 0 on your handset and you'll be able to ask your question live on the air. Again, press 0 at any time. Don't worry about interrupting the call. That'll get you connected with an operator so you can ask your question here live on the air. As we see our first couple questions start to roll in, Rich, the Dean of Admission, can you give us a quick update on the applications that we've seen so far?
Be happy to, JJ, and thank you everybody for joining tonight. As of this morning, we had approximately 650 applications on our way to what is a typical year around 5,100 or 5,200 applications. As JJ mentioned, we are beginning a new early action program that many of our students are taking part of, and we will go into that in more detail. The other thing that I would like to emphasize tonight is the importance of visiting the campus. Essentially, every day that the Gustavus campus is open, the admission office is open. But we do have a number of open house events that are coming for Minnesota residents who will not have school next Thursday and Friday. We will actually have an open house on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of that week. We are open many Saturdays during the fall, which fits into many people's schedules as well. So, JJ, that's a little bit of an update on the applications. If you haven't begun the application, tonight would be a great night to begin it.
All right. Thanks for that, Rich. We are going to start out with a question, actually an international question, so I'm going to have Rich address that. Rich does travel abroad for us a little bit. We're going to go to Clarice calling from Rwanda. Clarice, ma'am, go ahead with your question.
Hello, Clarice?
All right, we seem to be having a little trouble here as we get started, and so as we continue on with the call, what we're going to do is have Kirk Carlson tell us a little bit about our new early action process that we're doing this year. Kirk?
Absolutely. We're really excited about the early action program and process. So in addition, for those 400 plus students that have applied early action already, they will be taking additional steps. In addition to completing their application for admission, they will also complete an early estimate financial aid form. That allows us to analyze your information about your income and allow families to receive an early financial aid award. So instead of waiting to complete the FAFSA, you can do the form for us, and we'll have an aid award for you by January 1st. You will later validate that information by completing the FAFSA on your timeline. From there, also we have the opportunity for students to complete their scholarship applications. And so scholarships are available on the website right now, whether it's music, theater, dance, arts, forensics. They're all available for students to jump in and go from. So that's where we're headed at with our financial aid and scholarships for right now.
All right, Kirk, thanks for that one. We've got an email question that came in. This question came from Kyle in Duluth. Just for some of the people who are a little bit less familiar with Gustavus, Rich, can you talk a little bit about what we're looking for, what kind of students we're looking for here at Gustavus?
Be happy to, JJ. A typical profile of an incoming student at Gustavus would be a high school grade point average of 3.65 on a 4.0 scale, unweighted. We certainly encourage students to submit the ACT or the SAT. The middle 50% range for the ACT is 24 to 30, and the mean ACT score for this year's incoming class was 27. As part of the application process, we also ask a student to submit a teacher letter of recommendation as well as a counselor school report, which is essentially an evaluation that the counselor fills out. Gustavus is also one of numerous colleges in the country that participate in a test optional program, and that's designed for students whose high school transcripts fit the profile of Gustavus, meaning those students are taking a very rigorous college curriculum program and whose GPA is at or near the median range for Gustavus. But for reasons unknown to them, they simply do not score as well on standardized tests as some individuals. And because we know, and all research indicates, that your high school transcript is certainly the best indicator of how you're going to do in college, for those students, if they do not feel that their high school transcript matches up with a test score, they can ask that we not consider their ACT and or SAT score during the application process.
All right, Rich, thanks for taking that one for us. We're going to take our first call here live on the air. We're going to go to James calling from Salt Lake City, Utah. James, go ahead with your question.
Hi, so I was just wondering whether the arts programs at Gustavus, particularly music and theater, do I have to declare a major in those departments in order to participate?
James, you do not. Gustavus has an extraordinarily robust fine arts program. We have between 25 and 30 ensembles, and we also offer a excellent theater and dance major. Almost 35 to 38% of our student body participates in one of these music ensembles. And no, you do not have to be a music major to participate in an ensemble or a theater and or dance production. We certainly offer those majors, and they're excellent as well, but we are also very happy to have physics students participate in the wind orchestra. An interesting thing to note is that the major ensembles, the Gustavus Wind Orchestra, the Gustavus Choir, and the Gustavus Orchestra will travel internationally once every 4 years, and in fact this January term, the Gustavus Choir will be spending about 15 to 18 days in France and England.
All right, Rich, thanks for taking that one for us. Again, we're excited to get started with your live questions here on the air. If you do have a question, just go ahead and press 0 on your handset, and we'll get you connected with an operator so we can move forward from here. We're going to move down to Dubuque, Iowa, so a little bit closer to home here for us in Minnesota. We're going to go to Courtney in Dubuque with a question about some of the academic offerings here. Courtney?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. I was just wondering what you guys have to offer for a nursing program.
Rich, you want to answer that?
I got it. Courtney, a great question. In fact, the last visitor I had this afternoon spent 45 minutes with one of our nursing faculty. Gustavus does, in fact, offer a Bachelor of Arts in Nursing. One of the exciting developments for us this year is that we have increased the number of students in the junior and senior classes to 32 students, up from 24. It's a great program. We take advantage of the clinical settings that are in and around St. Peter, as well as the Twin Cities metro area. And nursing is alive and well at Gustavus, and it's a terrific academic program with many options to go on to grad or professional schools afterwards, as well as move straight into the primary care area of nursing.
All right, Rich, that's great. We're going to keep the live calls going right now. We're going to go even closer to home to Sabrina calling from St. Paul. Sabrina, go ahead with your question.
Hi. I was just wondering how open you guys are to students who maybe don't have the highest GPA or did super well on the ACT or anything, if you would still accept them into Gustavus?
Sabrina, this is Tom Craig, the Vice President for Enrollment. So what we're looking for is a well-rounded student. So if we have a student who doesn't have the GPA that we expect, things that will really help in the process is if we see a student making good progress each semester as they move along in high school. So if that's one of the things that would be a real strength for us. But if it's far below the minimum GPA, it's going to be tough. I have to be honest about that. But if if we see improvement and relatively good test scores, we look at the trend. So that's the most important thing. My suggestion would be to apply and find out.
All right, Dr. Crady, thanks for taking that one for us. We're going to continue. We want to get to as many of your questions as possible tonight. Chloe has a call. She's calling from Staples, Minnesota. This one's going to be answered by Kurt Carlson. Chloe, go ahead with your question.
Hi, thanks for having me. My question was just regarding the early action program, and I submitted all my materials and done the financial aid calculator. And my question is, when can I expect to receive an admission decision?
Terrific question. We wait for everybody to complete all of their information until November 1st, and then we'll start sending out those early action decisions. So you should be expecting a letter in the mail by November 15th. So that's the timeline that you should be looking at. Look at, for everybody else out there, make sure that you're completing your application for admission along with financial aid form and the scholarship. So those are the pieces that you need to complete for the early action, and look for that letter by November 15th.
All right, Kirk, thanks again for taking that one for us. We'll continue on here. Mohammed calling from Michigan with a question about some of our pre-med offerings. Mohammed, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me. I had a question about what specific programs or undergraduate programs that you guys have for first-year students. Like, I know there's some colleges offer research, others offer study abroad, and that's pretty much my question.
Great, Mohammed. This is Rich Owning, the Dean. We have an excellent international education program. In fact, almost 50% of our graduates will have some sort of study away program. If you're talking about pre-med preparation and majors that we might have at Gustavus, we have an excellent STEM reputation at Gustavus. We offer majors in biology, chemistry, biochemistry, which would be the three most prevalent majors for students who are interested in health professions. And in fact, this fall we sent 14 students on to medical school, including Harvard University, the University of Minnesota, University of Wisconsin, Kansas, 11 the year before, 12 the year before that, 19 the year before that. Gustavus is a well-known school for preparation for professional school, whether it's medicine, dentistry, PT, vet school, and so forth. And the beauty of the curriculum at Gustavus, it allows our students to be very active in other areas, which we feel are an advantage when you're applying to postgraduate programs, whether it's graduate school and or professional school.
All right, Mohammed, thanks for that great question. We'll continue on here. We're going to go to Sierra, calling from Kansas. Sierra, go ahead with your question for Dr. Crady.
Hi. I was wondering where the Gustavus Forensics team ranks nationally.
That's a great question, Sierra. So the forensics program is ranked number 9 in the country in Division 1, 2, and 3. So we're 9th in the country right now. It's a very, very good program, very rigorous program. Chris Crocht is the director of the program, highly involved with his students, and a great person to talk to, but very, very competitive.
All right, Dr. Crady, thanks for that one. I think Rich is going to expand a little bit about the forensics offerings. Rich?
Yeah, I was just going to note that last year the team actually placed 6th at the national tournament, which was probably the highest Division III or small liberal arts college result of any school in the country. And
thanks, Rich. I stand corrected.
It's okay. 6th or 9th. It's an outstanding program which allows students of every major on campus to continue participating in something that they're very passionate about, and that would certainly apply to the forensics program at Gustavus.
All right, we're going to go up to Ontario, Canada, north of the border. We've got Natalie, a parent, calling in. Natalie, go ahead with your question.
Hi, 2 questions. What kind of scholarship opportunities are there for Canadian students?
Okay, the first one, for Canadian students, you can go through our academic programs, which is specific for international students, but also there is those same talent-based scholarships. So theater, dance, music, arts, and so forth that's available for our international students.
Okay. And for student athletes or prospective student athletes, do you have something for them, and how do you organize an official visit?
That's terrific. As a Division III institution, we cannot give any type of aid that's specific for athletics. Those students, any student who has an interest in visiting campus can do that visit right through the admission office. They'll help schedule that appointment and make connection with coaches for you.
In addition to that, we also offer a fly-in program for students. And if I'm not, what part of Ontario are you from? Are you from Southern Ontario, Northern Ontario?
I think we've lost her here, but I think it said Northern Ontario.
Got it. Okay. So we do offer the fly-in program for students, and we will pay up to half of that, and if a student enrolls, 100%.
Okay, thanks, Kirk and Tom, for that one. We'll continue on with an academics question. We're going to go to St. Louis Park. Zainab, go ahead with your question.
Oh, yeah, my question is, what is you guys' business school like? I guess I kind of want to hear more about that.
Well, we actually offer 4 different degrees in the econ management department. We have a straight economics program that actually focuses on, actually has 2 different emphases, one more on the investment side and one more on the banking side. We have a management major at Gustavus, which is probably more similar to a business administration major at other places. We also offer an international management degree at Gustavus for those students who would like to combine language study with a business background in the anticipation that their work will perhaps take them abroad. And we also offer an accounting major at Gustavus. There are actually 5 courses that make up the core for any student who's interested in that department: macroeconomics, microeconomics, calculus, statistics for economics and management, and an introductory accounting course. We have a wonderful mentoring program through the Career Center at Gustavus that involves an awful lot of students who are involved in the econ and management program. We just recently were provided with a very interesting list of the top 25 companies that Gustavus graduates work at, utilizing the information through LinkedIn. And to give you even the first 10 places where individuals are currently working, or the top 10 employers for Gustavus: IBM, Wells Fargo, 3M, Thomson Reuters, the Mayo Clinic, General Mills, Travelers Insurance, Oracle, Cargill, Boston Scientific, our friends at Target, the University of Minnesota, the state of Minnesota, and places such as that. So we feel that all of our graduates have tremendous success when they leave, and the Econ Management Department is certainly no exception.
All right, thanks for that question. We'll continue on here. We're going to go to Megan in Lakeville with a question for Kirk. Megan, go ahead with your question.
Hi, I was just wondering about your presidential scholarship, how that works. Is it a separate application? Do I have to do anything for that?
Thank you, Megan. Actually, our presidential scholarship is through nomination. So when we read application for admission, there's nothing separate that we need. You've sent in a pretty healthy application, and so we use that information in your transcript, your GPA. We look at test scores, all those different sorts of things in making determination about our presidential applicants and scholars and those who will be interviewed live on campus. And so for those individuals, the first set of interviews for our early action group will occur November 22nd. So for people that are typically a 30 ACT and above, 3.8 and above is kind of the general parameter that we look at, the average winner being upwards of 32 ACT or so. So that's a little bit about that presidential application.
Okay, Kirk, thanks for taking that one for us. We're going to continue rolling with the questions here. Brooklyn from Newport has a question about some of the pre-med offerings again. Brooklyn?
Hi, I was wondering about, some people had questions about the medical programs, but I'm looking at oncology, and I was wondering how hands-on all your medical programs are.
I want to make sure I heard correctly. You said oncology?
Uh-huh.
Okay, Brooklyn. So that would be an area that you would be working with once you got to medical school. Gustavus is the school that would prepare you to get to medical school. And we certainly have many ways to help students determine what kind of area they may be interested in once they get to medical school. We have a wealth of internship programs that students can actually begin their freshman year. We have research opportunities to help them in their science curriculum to enhance their application for med school. And typically, most of our junior and or seniors who are continuing in that health profession path, including medicine, will probably shadow one or more physicians during our January term. And ideally, during that internship, they'll also be able to spend time in a multiple of disciplines, whether it's oncology, family practice, internal medicine, ideally spend some time with a surgeon, etc.
All right, you've asked some questions of us, and now we want to ask one question of you. Our question for you is, where are you joining us from for tonight's call? And so this is a poll question that we're asking. Where are you joining us from for tonight's call? Press 1 on your handset if you're here in Minnesota. Press 2 if you're elsewhere in the Midwest. Press 3 if you're calling from the East Coast. 4 for the West Coast. And if you're in the southern United States, including Texas, Arizona, or New Mexico, press 5. We just want to get a quick snapshot of where you're joining us from tonight. So again, 1 for Minnesota, 2 for the Midwest, 3 for the East Coast, 4 for the West Coast, and 5 for the southern United States, including Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. We'll let that poll question run for a couple minutes here, and while we do that, we'll get back to the live questions. We're going to go up to a parent calling from Brainerd, Minnesota. Go ahead with your question about advising.
Hi, thank you. I'm just wondering what kind of guidance you give to students that may be wavering on what they want to choose as a major, particularly during their first and second year. Thank you.
Hi, this is Tom Crady. So the counseling starts right away. You don't have to declare your major until your second year. And what we do during registration is we sit down through our academic advising office and try to work out a course schedule to give a kind of a multitude of options for the student to decide what they want to major in, so a variety of courses. The good news is, as I mentioned before, you don't have to declare until your sophomore year, which means you get a chance to take courses across the curriculum, which I think is really important. So there is time to do that, and that's something that we think is very, very important.
Thank you, Dr. Crady, for that. We'll continue on. Again, if you do have a question that you'd like to get asked, and we see a lot of them coming in here, and we're excited to be able to answer them, press 0 on your handset, and we'll try to answer them here in the next half hour. We're going to go to Jake calling from Owatonna. Jake, go ahead with your question.
Hi, I was just wondering if your early application is restrictive where you can't apply to other universities during it until you receive your decision.
Great question, Jake. And actually, I'm going to answer that question and also answer Connor's question from Urbandale, Iowa at the same time because they are connected. Early action does not bind you to an early response from us. Whether a student is admitted under the early action program or if they choose to do rolling admission, every student who's admitted to Gustavus has until May 1st to respond to us. However, the benefit of the early action is for those students who are really telling us that Gustavus is their first choice and they want to get all the information that is necessary to make a choice early on. But regardless of when a student is admitted to Gustavus, everybody has until May 1st to respond to that offer of admission.
All right, Dean of Admission, Rich Ani with that one. Connor in Urbandale, Iowa, we kind of addressed that there, but Connor, we've got you live on the air now. Do you have any other questions that we can address for you about the early action process?
No longer about the early action progress, because you did answer that so well. Thank you very much. I do have a question concerning the presidential scholarship, however. Is it required that if you requested for Gustavus not to look at your ACT during the admission process, do we still need to apply, or rather submit our ACT score for the presidential scholarship consideration?
Great question. Yes, you do. The presidential application actually requires that you submit the ACT or the SAT scores.
All right, Rich, thanks for that one. Kirk, do you want to expand a little bit about what we're looking for in that President's Scholarship group?
Yeah, JJ. We look at a number of different items. We certainly start with the transcript, and we want to see that these are students that are towards the top of their class, that are taking college preparatory coursework, and that they're ready for college. Secondarily, we take a look at test scores, as Rich mentioned. It is certainly part of what we look at in this very competitive competition that we look at. And then from there, we also have the interview process once they come to campus.
All right, Kirk, thanks for expanding on that for us. We're going to head out to the West Coast. Faith in Oregon has a question about campus life. Faith, go ahead with your question.
Hi, so I was just wondering how much religion is incorporated into the campus and then how diverse the student body is.
Faith, that's a great question. I think, in terms of religion, it's the level that you want to be involved in. To give you an idea, we're obviously from the Lutheran tradition, but 26% of our students are from the Catholic Church. But if you're not interested in religion, my son just graduated this past year. He was a math physics major. He was not involved at all in religious activities. My younger son might be different with that. So, there's really a variety there. In terms of ethnic diversity on campus, I would say at latest numbers about 16% of U.S. American students of color, and then we have international students, a big program there that we're growing that was just moved from the off-campus study office to admissions. This year we have recruiters. We just had recruiters come back from India and one who's going to Southeast Asia for 21 days to a variety of countries. So our goal, and we place a great deal of emphasis on diversity. Gustavus just inaugurated our first female president 2 days ago. Terrific person, thrilled to have her, and a wonderful person to work with to date. So that's where we are.
All right, Faith, thanks for the question there. We're going to go to Omaha, Nebraska. Carlos has a question about the financial aid process. Carlos, go ahead with your question for Kirk.
Good evening, guys. My question was regarding you guys' financial aid. I want to know, how are you guys in financial aid, and what would be the minimum requirements to obtain maximum aid from your guys' institution?
Terrific question, Carlos. We use the FAFSA, so the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and it really is based on families' income and assets. The vast majority of funding, 70+% of our students do qualify for need-based aid. And so that's what we're looking at most, that parental income, parental assets, and so forth. After that, we do have merit-based scholarships, so there's a nice balance that does allow families that don't qualify for need-based aid to receive some scholarship funding. So the combination or blending of those two items allow most families to qualify for something, but not all. So we do work with each family to the best of their ability.
All right, Kirk, thanks for taking that one for us. Again, at a smaller college like Gustavus, the admission and financial aid process are really more of a dialogue. So we want to encourage you, as you've asked us questions tonight, to ask us questions throughout the process. Give us a call, shoot us an email. Everybody, depending on your high school, has a different admission counselor who's assigned specifically to you and taking care of you and your family throughout the process. So feel free to call or email us in our office at any time. And so we'll continue now with our questions. We're going to go to Quinn in Albert Lee with a question about transferring credits in. Quinn, go ahead with your question for Rich.
Hi. I have college transcripts from college and the school classes that I've been taking over the last 2 years. And I was wondering if that's something that I should submit with my application or later once I've been admitted.
That's a great question, Quinn. You don't actually have to submit it as part of your application. Generally speaking, your high school transcript will indicate that you're taking CIS credits. I think the most efficient and cost-effective thing to do is for whenever the last grade has been recorded on your college transcript, which would probably be sometime in early June, that's when you'd want to submit it. Ideally, we want those transcripts before students register for classes. We do allow students, whether it's through CIS course credits, post-secondary enrollment option credits, or students who have AP exams or higher level international baccalaureate exams of 4 or higher, you can bring in a maximum of 32 semester credits or 32 semester hours to Gustavus.
Okay, Rich, thanks for taking that one for us. We're going to head back out to California. John is a parent with a couple of questions. And so, John, go ahead with your questions.
Yeah, hi, guys. First of all, thank you. This is an extremely professional process, and very impressive how you guys are managing this whole thing. I really appreciate it. 2 questions. One is, I would assume there is a core curriculum that applies to all majors. Could you talk a little bit about what's required, and what math and science or pre-med majors might need to take with respect to writing, liberal arts, stuff like that? And then second, I thought I'd heard something in the process about a relationship with the Mayo Clinic, ability to do volunteer work there. I don't know if that's the case. I just wanted to find out.
Absolutely. Great question, John. We actually have 2 different tracks for the core curriculum. The majority of students are in a curriculum where they have some flexibility to choose the courses in 9 separate areas, and those areas are arts, theology, literary and rhetorical studies, mathematics, history, philosophy, natural science, social science, a non-Western culture, and they also have to complete and or test out of the first 2 semesters of a non-English language course. In addition, those students are also required to take 3 writing intensive courses as part of their liberal arts curriculum. About 10% of the students participate in what we call the 3 Crowns curriculum, which is an integrated sequence of courses that focuses on both the Western civilization and non-Western studies. They look at how academic disciplines are connected. They do a number of things outside the classroom to enhance that track. Whether a student chooses curriculum 1 or the Three Crowns curriculum, they both take about a third of their time. About a third of a student's coursework is spent in a major, and about a third of their coursework is spent in electives, which provides for great flexibility. On average, about 25 to 27% of our students will double major during their 4 years and still complete that 4-year degree, 80% of them in 4 years. And you are correct, we have a number of different connections with the Mayo in Rochester. We are part of the Mayo Scholars Program, which is a little bit more of an econ management internship program that we've been a part of for a number of years. In addition, we have local volunteer opportunities. Gustavus students can participate in the Mayo Clinic Emergency Department Volunteer Program, and also the All Mayo Clinic volunteer opportunities to really help students specifically enhance that application for med school and whatever professional school they might be interested, more so obviously for medicine, and to really help some of the first-year students where they're doing some shadowing that looks at numerous different health professions within the medical field. So that could include physical therapy, physician's assistant, as well as medicine.
All right, John, did that answer your question?
Yeah, that does. Thank you. Very well.
Yep. Thanks for joining us tonight, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll continue on now. We're going to move out to White Bear Lake, Minnesota. Anita has a question about updated tuition costs and then about one of our academic programs. Anita, go ahead with your question.
Yes, hello. Yeah, I wanted to know about the current tuition costs without any financial aid or scholarship, just to get a feel for what that might be. And second question is the quality of the psychology department at Gustavus and how much hands-on activity one would do if to major or just to take the class.
All right, Anita, thanks for that. We'll split that up. We're going to get started with Dr. Crady on the first part of your question.
Anita, great question, and one that I think about often as we try to move students through school. So here's what we've done. Last year, we increased our kind of tuition and fees at what we consider to be the Consumer Price Index, which is last year was 2.3%. The tuition, room, and board was $49.96. This upcoming year, we just got approval 2 days ago to increase our fees at 2.6%, well below what most colleges are doing right now. For many years, institutions have been going up at about 5% per year. You know, that's almost 19, 20% compounded over 4 years. So we're trying to keep the price low. Next year, room and board will be frozen, so that's a plus there. But the thing to keep in mind is that we discount that cost by 59% on average.
Okay, and then the second part of the question, I'm going to go to Rich Auney to talk a little bit about psychology and some of the offerings there, as well as how hands-on that department is.
Thanks, JJ. Psychological sciences are actually traditionally one of the top 5 majors in graduates every year. And for the last 3 years, they have been housed in the beautiful new Beck academic building, which means that essentially everything involved in psychological science, including a neuroscience minor program, is brand new. We have outstanding lab facilities for students. It's very hands-on. Internships are a unique part of the program in psychological sciences. And most recently, I'm actually on the psychological science webpage. There's a great story about one of our students who's involved in the whole computer psychological science program. He's in a very unique graduate program at Iowa State, and I would encourage you to take a look at that story about Andrew, who's pursuing a master's degree in human and computer interaction, and he actually began some of that work while he was at Gustavus. An outstanding program.
All right, let's continue on. We're going to go to Elizabeth, who's a parent from Ceylon, Minnesota. Elizabeth, go ahead with your question. Elizabeth, are you there with your question about study abroad?
Oh, yes, sorry. I was asking about the study abroad as far as the cost and how that works. Do you have a sister college in different places that the tuition is equal, or is that an extra expense?
That's a great question. With our study abroad programs, you do still pay tuition simply because you want those credits to transfer back in. Then, depending upon the program, you pay what's called a program fee. And some of those study abroad opportunities cost the same as what your room and board cost would be here. So you have the opportunity to have something with very little additional cost. There are certainly other programs with higher flight costs and so forth, whether you're looking at going to Australia or New Zealand. Some of those programs have much higher costs than what it would cost to be here. But each family has the opportunity to make that decision about what's affordable for them and choose from a great number of opportunities to study abroad.
Just to contrast, my son studied in Budapest in the math program, which is actually really cheap, the Eastern Bloc of Europe. That was a good experience for him, let me tell you.
All right, thanks, Tom and Kirk, for that. We'll continue on with the questions here. We've got about 20 minutes left, and again, we're going to try to get to as many questions as we can. We're going to go to Madeline, calling from Austin. Madeline, go ahead with your question about theater here at Gustavus.
Hi, everybody. I have a couple of questions. My daughter is a theater major. She's been since she was maybe 5 years old, and there's no doubt that's what she wants to do. She was unable to be part of this tonight because she is in the musical at a college right now. She's been participating in college productions the last 4 years. She has a resume that stretches at least 3 to 4 productions a year the last 5, 6 to 8 years. And we did not include the resume with her application. So we want to know how much does that weigh in. And she seems to feel like, yes, Gustavus is awesome. She was at the audition boot camp, and it's connected to the Guthrie, but she feels like, well, if she went to Gustavus, no matter what, she wouldn't really have a career in theater. So I want to know if there's any validity to that, or how strong your theater program is, and how connected it is past the Guthrie and to other cities, and what the track record is there.
Kind of two questions. This is Rich Downey, the admission. One of the things that I would do is certainly I would have her send her resume as part of the theater scholarship application. That would be the best place for the department to evaluate that. And we have a long and storied past in theater in terms of producing students who have gone on to great things. The Guthrie Theater Boot Camp, I think, is a connection that will continue to grow at Gustavus. We certainly have had students who have done theater internships at the Guthrie, etc. But I don't want to give the impression that Gustavus is, our theater majors are going to go on and participate in theater in many different ways. Some of them are going to teach. Many of them are double majoring in theater and other areas. I think the best way for her to find out in terms of the match of her talents and what Gustavus is offering is for her to come down specifically after she has completed that theater application and talk directly with the theater people and find out, I think, more specific answers to some of those questions. I could give you some names of some people, Kevin Kling, Peter Krause, Peter Breitmeyer. They mean something to me. They may or may not mean anything to you. But we're very, very proud of the work that our theater department does, and especially the social justice area. We have certainly a reputation, and one of the very few places where you can also major in dance.
All right, Rich, thanks for addressing that one for us. We're going to head up to Duluth, Minnesota. Stephanie in Duluth has a question about application numbers and what the process looks like. Stephanie?
Hello.
How are you?
I was wondering. Good. I was wondering about how many applications do you get in total usually, and how many do you actually accept?
That's a great question, Stephanie. This is Tom Crady. So just to take you back a couple of years, our application pool a few years ago was 3,200 students. Now we're at 5,300 students. So we have 5,300 applications. Of that 53 applications, our acceptance rate dropped by 10%, and it's now about 58 to 61%. Right now, the applications are running 150 over last year, higher than they were last year at this time. So for some reason, we feel like we're a pretty hot school for people at the moment. So we're getting a lot of interest from all around the country. So we're very excited about that. In fact, I think we're going to take a call from Arizona next. But did that answer your question?
All right, thanks, Tom. We will head down to Arizona now. Chanel in Arizona has a question about academics and diversity here on campus. Chanel?
Hi. I was wondering what the faculty to student ratio was and about how many Native Americans attend there.
Thank you, Chanel. The faculty-student ratio is 1 to 11. We do have a diversity office on campus. You know, I'm going to be frank about this. We don't have a lot of Native students on campus. We have been recruiting more Native students. I recruit Alaska, for example, and I have appointments set up. I go to Alaska here in about 7 or 8 days. So the Native students that we tend to recruit are from Alaska at this point. But we also realize that, we need to do a better job in the Southwest. We've been recruiting heavily in L.A. and San Francisco and down in Texas. So, we do need to do a better job recruiting Native students. But we're very well known in Alaska. It's actually warmer in Minnesota than it is in Fairbanks, so I think it's attractive for folks.
All right, outstanding. Thanks, Tom, for that. We're going to head to Wisconsin, a question from Lotus about our internship programs. Go ahead with your question for Rich.
Hi, I was wondering if you could possibly speak towards internships and accessibility to getting them and just what that looks like.
Be happy to, Lois. As I mentioned earlier, almost half of a graduating class at Gustavus will have some type of internship or experiential learning. And in fact, we have a full-time staff person in the Center for Servant Leadership in the Career Center whose sole job is to worry about and connect students with internships. And a number of them will be during what's called our January term or interim. We have a semester between fall and spring semester, and many students will at that time do a career exploration and or an internship to essentially to solidify what they may think their postgraduate career might be, and or to solidify the decision regarding, I think I want to be a dentist, but I'm going to do a career exploration or a job shadow in that. We also have a very robust summer internship program that includes students who are both getting paid and unpaid internships as well. And those internships are probably primarily in the Midwest, but we have students actually throughout the country spending time in careers that they're very interested in. And certainly students who have want to explore the internship area more, Vince Thomas from the Career Center is more than happy to sit down and talk about the process. And we have great information actually on the Career Center's website that answers a lot of frequently asked questions regarding internships, specific of your student and what that process might be.
All right, Rich, thanks for taking that one for us. We've got about 10 minutes left in tonight's phone call. We do want to be mindful of your time tonight, but we also want to answer as many questions as possible. So if you do have a question, go ahead and press 0, and we will try our best to get to it. Like I said, about 10 minutes left here tonight. I'm going to go down to South Carolina. Harlan has a question about engineering and business. Harlan, go ahead with your question.
Hi. I just had a quick. Hello. I just had a quick question about if you have any engineering programs with other schools, like sharing or not. I don't know if you have an engineering program or not, but do you have a deal with another college that does have engineering? And the other question was.
That's a great question, Harlan. So we do. We have what's called a 3-2 program in physics and engineering with the University of Minnesota in St. Paul or Minneapolis. And in that program, what students typically do here is they do the physics major. Now, the interesting thing about physics at Gustavus is that we send the 9th highest number on of students on for PhDs of all liberal arts colleges in the country. So it's a very, very good and highly respected program. So the way the 3-2 program works is that you spend 3 years at Gustavus, 2 years at the University of Minnesota, and you come away with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree of engineering. So the way to check that out is to go to the physics website under pre-engineering, and it gives you an idea of what to do there. But the neat thing about the physics department here is it's a very close-knit department, highly respected, very, very close faculty-student interaction.
All right, Dr. Crady, thanks for taking that one. We're going to go to a student calling originally from Stevens Point, Wisconsin, but actually driving, if I'm reading this, to Gustavus right now. Maggie from Stevens Point, go ahead with your question for Kirk.
Hi, this is Maggie Rocha. I'm on my way to Gustavus for the 50th Nobel Conference. I just had a question. What financial aid packages do you offer for students who might be financially disadvantaged?
Maggie, that's a fantastic question, and to be honest, our financial aid packages run the full gamut. There's certainly opportunities to for families of high income to receive aid, all the way down to there are aid awards that cover virtually everything for families that come from very little income. And to be honest, there's an opportunity. If you're here on campus, stop into the admission office. You can come see me or Rich or Tom or JJ. We'd be happy to talk about your specific financial situation and try and help you with that question.
All right, and our caller just now referenced the Nobel Conference, and so for those of you who may not be quite as familiar about what the Nobel Conference is here at Gustavus, I'm going to have Dean of Admission Rich Auney give us a quick rundown on what the Nobel Conference is and how important it is to this community.
Well, thanks, JJ. Tomorrow and Wednesday, Gustavus will actually be hosting the 50th Nobel Conference. And this year's title is Where Does Science Go From Here? And one of the really cool things is if you go to the Gustavus website, you can watch the Nobel Conference live online. This year's conference is really going to celebrate 50 years of bringing some of the greatest breakthrough science information to all audiences in the Midwest, which is really the hallmark of the Nobel Conference. And in this year's conference, we actually have 11 speakers. 8 of them are people who, over the years, people have really enjoyed their presentation. In addition to that, we will have 3 Nobel laureates. It's a great time for the Academy to celebrate the discovery of new information. It's a wonderful opportunity for our current students to hear great lectures on a variety of topics, and for many of our students, they get to rub elbows and spend a great deal of time over the next 2 days with people who are world-renowned in their field, and we're very excited to welcome anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 people on campus, and especially our friends from Stevens Point, Wisconsin.
All right, Rich, thanks for taking that one for us. A couple more questions here tonight. We're going to go over to Rochester, Minnesota. Stacy has a question about engineering that Dr. Crady will take, I think. Stacy?
Hi, this is Stacy. I think you answered some of my question with the other question that they had about the engineering. My son is interested in biological engineering. Do you offer that 3-2 program with that, or is it just with the physics?
Well, that's a really good question. So the way it works is when you go to the University of Minnesota, you can major in biomedical engineering in addition to as part of the 3-2 program here. Now, the interesting thing is that Becky Bergman, our new president, came from Medtronic, where she was senior vice president for research in the cardiac rhythm area. So she's an expert in this area and really good person to work with. So what you do here is you do 3 years in physics here, you do 2 years in biomedical engineering at the U, you walk away with 2 degrees and highly qualified. And then you've got places like Medtronic in Minnesota and some other really great places to work. But what's neat is our president actually took that track and was at a liberal arts college and then did the engineering program, was in the engineering program at the University of Minnesota.
All right, Dr. Crady, thanks for that one.
Yeah, I just want to add one other thing regarding the physics program at Gustavus and the outstanding production and PhD. In addition to the 3-2 engineering programs that students participate in, many of our physics students who do have an engineering interest will actually complete the 4-year physics degree at Gustavus and will then get paid to go to numerous master's programs in engineering fields throughout the country. If you go to the physics department website, they have a departmental newsletter that they publish every year, and the 2014 letter just came out, and there's outstanding information on their summer internships, the graduate programs that they go to, and it's just really very hard evidence as to the quality of the physics program at Gustavus and some of the top flight graduate programs that our students participate in.
All right, Rich, thanks for expanding on that for us. We're going to take just a couple more questions here tonight. We're going to take one more here. Anna in Woodbury asking a little bit about our test optional program and how that plays into the admission decision. Anna, go ahead with your question.
Hi. I was just wondering, and if you have time, I just have another quick little question, but when you look at transcripts and you see that it's submitted without an ACT, do you take the essay more into account, or do you take the well-rounded student like outside of like the transcript, or what do you primarily look at?
Anna, that's a very good question. As Kirk mentioned earlier, in terms of the presidential parameters, the most important aspect is the transcript. And we're looking at trends, we're looking at the types of courses that students are taking. I read every essay, and for many students there may be some explanations regarding some ups and downs in the transcript. We take into account the teacher recommendation, and certainly I look to see what kind of activities students are participating in. And most importantly, I'm looking at their extracurricular record, at things where they've shown leadership, things that they've excelled at. But the transcript is first. But again, to reiterate the holistic approach that we look for every application, I take into account all the information that a student submits.
All right, Anna, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
And did you have another small question you said?
Yeah, really small. After one gets accepted to Gustavus, my high school offers a pass-fail on classes that you can take after you get accepted, which don't account to your GPA. Would Gustavus prefer students to take pass-fail in classes, or to take the classes as a whole and to get the letter grade towards GPA?
Wow, Anna, that's a very interesting question. Truthfully, I think I would prefer to see a grade submitted, because I do think it may, you may not want to hear this, but it's going to hold your feet to the fire a little bit more. And I think what we're always interested in is making sure that students have the best preparation for what is a very rigorous academic program. If you choose to do the pass and fail, that would be your choice. But I think in terms of best preparing yourself for the collegiate experience, I think I would suggest that you ask to have grades.
All right, Rich, thanks for that one. We're going to take one more question tonight. We're going to go to Ben in Minneapolis. Thanks for your patience. We know we've had you on hold for a while here, but it's an outstanding question, I think, and we want to finish with you tonight, Ben, in Minneapolis. Go ahead with your question.
Hi. I was wondering what you believe is the most rewarding aspect that a graduate would describe about Gustavus.
Ben, this is Tom Cruddy. It's really interesting that you asked that question, because my son, as I mentioned before, graduated in May. We were just talking about this the other night. He had his tonsils out 3 weeks ago, so he's had a lot of home time. What he said was, he was able to do what he wanted to do, and he had a great faculty experience. The teaching here was superb. So he was not only a physics major, but he took all the math courses for a math major. In addition to that, he was a swimmer, so he swam all 4 years during his time at Gustavus. He did an off-campus study trip to Budapest in math, where he met his girlfriend, who is dating in St. Paul. The day after graduation, he was employed at Cray Supercomputing in St. Paul. And what he would say is that he just had a really well-rounded experience. Members of the Department of Physics played water polo with their students. They had students over to their houses. They got to know them really well. He just felt it was really a very pleasant experience.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to piggyback on that question. Again, this is JJ. I've been your moderator throughout the call tonight. I have a little bit different perspective than these guys because I graduated from Gustavus 3 years ago. I was an English major here and played on the football team, had the opportunity to do some other things as well. But people that I've graduated with have landed positions working both in corporate America. I've got friends that are at United Healthcare corporate. Physics major that I was a roommate with that now works for Khan Academy, the website. He's out in Mountain View, California in the Silicon Valley. And one of my other classmates that works off-Broadway in New York in costume design and choreography. And so we really think that Gustavus is a place that can set you up to be successful in whatever it is that you choose to do. That being said, the best way to see that is to come and visit us. Last week, as part of our inauguration activities, we had a symposium about liberal arts and what it means here at Gustavus. And the best way I can sum it up is what one of our current students said. Sam Panzer is a history major here at Gustavus, who's also a pre-med student, so you can tell he's well-rounded. And his quote was this: "The value of a Gustavus education lies not in being taught to be proficient, but in learning how to be excellent." And again, that was Sam Panzer, one of our current students. And so it's easy for colleges to talk in these platitudes about how great we are and things like that, and you can get a great education at a lot of places. But I think what we do really well is the community feel here that ties into that. And the only way to see that is to visit. And so again, I graduated 3 years ago and love this place enough to stay here. And we just want to encourage you to come down and visit. This is going to be the last question that we've taken tonight. If we did not have a chance to answer your question, just stay on the line and you can leave a message, and we will respond to those messages individually by the end of the week. But that's kind of the point we want to make is call us, email us, come visit us here on campus, and we want to have those conversations and get to know you as a person. We're going to do more phone casts over the course of the year. We're going to do 5 more calls, and so we hope you can join us for those. But before we wrap up tonight, I'm going to go to Dr. Tom Crady, our Vice President for Enrollment Management, to wrap up the evening. Tom?
Thanks, JJ. Again, we'd like to thank you all for joining us for tonight's conversation. I really hope that we're able to answer all your questions. If we didn't get to your questions, stay on the line, and you can leave us a message, and we'll respond by the end of the week. We'll actually call you individually. For the next steps, we really want you to start your application. I would argue that the early action application is really the way to go at this point. You're going to get a decision very quickly. You're going to know about financial aid very quickly. You can apply using the Common application or the Gustavus website. And after that, we'd love you to schedule a visit to Gustavus. And we're excited because we honestly think that we have a lot to offer, and I say that coming from 2 of the most highly selective liberal arts colleges in the country. As you continue to think about this college search process, feel free to, at any time, to give us a call. If you go to our website and look at Meet Your Counselor, you will find our direct telephone numbers there, including our cell phone numbers. I mean, even if you're not interested in Gustavus, you can still call us and talk to us. Again, if you have a question, stay on the line, leave us a message. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we hope to have you join us again at our next phone cast. Take care.